As a Christian, one's faith is deeply rooted in the belief of a higher power that guides and protects them. Many Christians who follow Jesus believe that their faith is enough to shield them from harm, and this includes the perceived need for vaccines. The idea that vaccines are unnecessary for Christians who follow Jesus stems from a combination of biblical interpretations, personal convictions, and a distrust of the medical community. One of the primary arguments against vaccination is the notion that it undermines God's sovereignty. Some Christians believe that by relying on vaccines, they are essentially putting their trust in human intervention rather than divine providence. This mindset is often accompanied by the idea that faith should be sufficient to protect against illnesses and diseases. They argue that if God has ordained their life in its circumstances, then he is also capable of shielding them from harm. By choosing not to vaccinate, these Christians are, in a sense, exercising their faith and demonstrating their trust in a higher power. Another factor contributing to the skepticism towards vaccines is a perceived lack of trust in the medical community. Many Christians who opt out of vaccination do so because they believe that the medical establishment is more concerned with profits and pushing pharmaceuticals than with genuinely promoting public health. This mistrust is often fueled by misinformation and misconceptions about the safety and efficacy of vaccines. Some may point to instances where vaccines have been recalled or have had adverse reactions, citing these as evidence that the medical community is not always infallible. The biblical concept of the body being a temple also plays a role in the decision to forego vaccination. Some Christians interpret this to mean that they should not introduce foreign substances into their bodies, as this would be a form of defilement. Vaccines, which contain weakened or inactivated pathogens, are seen as a violation of this principle. This conviction is often tied to a broader philosophy of healthy living and a preference for natural remedies over conventional medicine. Additionally, some Christians may view vaccination as a form of fear or lack of faith. They believe that by choosing to vaccinate, they are essentially acknowledging that they do not have enough faith in God's protection. This perspective is influenced by biblical passages that encourage believers to trust in God's goodness and sovereignty, even in the face of uncertainty or adversity. By refusing to vaccinate, these individuals are, in their minds, demonstrating a profound trust in their faith and its ability to sustain them. It is also worth noting that some Christians may be influenced by the concept of healing in the atonement. This doctrine suggests that Jesus' death and resurrection not only provided salvation from sin but also included healing from physical ailments. Those who adhere to this belief may see vaccination as unnecessary, as they expect God to heal them from any illness or disease. This conviction is often tied to a charismatic or Pentecostal perspective, which emphasizes the gifts of the Holy Spirit, including healing. However, it is essential to acknowledge that this stance on vaccination is not universally accepted among Christians. Many Christian denominations and leaders encourage their members to vaccinate, citing the biblical imperative to care for one's body and to love one's neighbors. They argue that vaccination is a responsible and compassionate act, as it helps to protect not only the individual but also the broader community, especially those who are most vulnerable to diseases such as the elderly and young children. In conclusion, the belief that vaccines are unnecessary for Christians who follow Jesus is rooted in a complex interplay of biblical interpretations, personal convictions, and a distrust of the medical community. While this perspective may be influenced by a desire to trust solely in God's sovereignty and provision, it is crucial to recognize that not all Christians share this viewpoint. As with any issue, it is essential to approach the topic of vaccination with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to loving one's neighbors, regardless of their stance on the matter.